Thanks for tuning in to Shootie School. In this video, we'll be learning about the Song Creator feature in EZDrummer 2. If you're looking for a beginner's video, I recommend watching my Easy Guide to EZDrummer 2 video first, because here, I assume you've already watched my previous videos in this advanced series, so there's no need for an introduction or specifications. I'll link to those videos in the description, and do check out my channel Shootie School for more EZDrummer 2 tutorials. Let's get started. Toontrack claims that the song creator can create an entire song for one drum beat with just a few clicks. This is a handy feature. Let's see if they're right with their claim. The song creator for me is a little mysterious because it's not in your face like most of the main features of EZDrummer 2. The main button to reveal it is down here in the transport area, which it has nothing to do with. I think this is why I overlook this feature often. Clicking this button will reveal and hide the song creator panel. And the only other way I know to reveal it is by right-clicking on a MIDI file in the Browser tab, in the Search tab, from an occupied tap to find MIDI drop zone, or on a MIDI block in your song track and select Use with Song Creator. Lastly, another way to hide the song creator is to click this collapse button over here. Let's take a moment to talk about the MIDI files in EZDrummer and how they're categorized generically as song structure parts. In my previous advanced browser video, we were browsing through the MIDI files, and I was noting that you should use whatever MIDI file sounds best for what part of your song that you're working on, and possibly ignore the generic categories of EZDrummer for part recommendations if you so choose. Well, here in the Song Creator video is where these categories come into play specifically for the Song Creator feature. I'm going to stay in the Browser tab for this video since it's easier to see the groove folder categories such as Intro, which I'll grab a random MIDI file to the song track, a verse file, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, a fill, and an ending. Note that when these MIDI files hit the song track, Toontrack calls them MIDI blocks. By the way, you can see the groove folder name they derive from at the bottom left of each file. See? Intro, verse, and so on. Also take note that all of these different MIDI files are different color depending on which groove folder they came from. All intros in EZDrummer 2 are gray, and all the verses are blue, and so on. Now let's open the Song Creator by hitting the button near the transport. And if you look at the top border of the Song Creator window, and to the left, the Song Structures panel, you'll see the same colors as thin horizontal lines that match the colors of our MIDI blocks. The Song Creator likes to reference colors to help your song structure be more recognizable at a glance. Now that we've acknowledged that, let's delete the MIDI blocks from our song track and dive in further. Let's work in the mid-tempo pop song and find a verse that we want to base our entire song around. Let's grab Variation 2. We could literally drag the MIDI file to the large Song Creator button here. We could right-click and select Use with Song Creator, or if the Song Creator panel is already open, you can drag it right into the MIDI drop zone. Now that the drop zone is occupied with our Variation 2 verse MIDI file, we can see the tiny MIDI dots in the drop zone. You can click on the play button to audition it, or click on the X button to clear that beat and start all over. Once we've dropped the MIDI file into the drop zone, EZDrummer 2 analyzes the beat and finds not only more alternatives for the beat you chose, but recommendations and alternatives for the parts for the rest of your potential song as well. Since we dragged a verse into the MIDI drop zone, we know it's blue. We can look below the blue verse column and see firstly our original file labeled here as source file. This is the same file that's in the drop zone. And underneath it are 5 more similar beats. And now you can audition them the same way you would use in the browser. For now, just hit the play button next to the file name. Now the original verse file we dragged to the Song Creator's drop zone is supposed to be compatible with the rest of the song parts in the other 6 columns. But a side note is this. If I liked my newly found verse 6 beat so much more than my original, I could re-drag the verse 6 file to the MIDI drop zone and update the entire Song Creator section to be based on that new beat, like this. Now this new source file is my previous verse 6. And as we can hear, the new verse 6 in the song creator is a new file altogether. Let's audition some of the matching intros and grab one. I like this one, intro 2. I'm going to drag it to measure 3. As we can see in the ruler of the song track, this is 8 bars long. Let's find a verse. Auditioning. I'll choose verse 3. I want it to be 16 bars, so I'll drag it down twice. Let's grab a pre-chorus. I'll grab this one, pre-chorus 3, since it changes up the downbeat, and see if we can resolve that into a solid chorus beat, which may be a typical producing strategy. I'm going to grab chorus 3. I'll choose this beat because it's heavy with the right hand, a good chorus climax you could say. Now let's listen to what we have. I'll disengage looping. Let's note the colors of the MIDI blocks. We're into the intro, which is gray. It's a less busy beat that will help build into the verse. I'm explaining how one might think producing a song structure. We're in the verse, which is a blue block. We have a steady beat that will support the song so a story can be told. And we make it twice as long since most pop music tells its story in the verse. We'll edit this a little later so it's less monotonous. And take note, I have a different video that covers editing in the song track in detail to make fine adjustments. Now we're entering the pre-chorus, which is yellow. And now we're in the purple chorus, which should be our hook in the climax of the song. Since we're only working with drums, I figured the loudest dynamic beat, which is heavy-handed on the cymbal, will do for now. For me, this is a good generic song revolution. Let me quickly adjust our song structure in the song track to finish our song. Typically, we could repeat the song structure without the intro of the song. So I'll select all the sections except the intro by clicking in an empty space and dragging. Now I'll right-click and select copy, and then right-click immediately after our chorus block and select paste all. I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom out quickly. Now we have 2 song revolutions, and you can see a world view of the song track, which is called Track Overview. In the track overview, we can see small colored blocks that represent our song structure regardless of what we're viewing in the song track. We can see that blue, yellow, and purple are repeated twice. Now it's time for a bridge to give us a break from the song structure. Let's audition the recommended bridge sections. I'm going to use 2 different beats for the bridge, so it seems like we're building tension out of the bridge. I will use bridge 1. And bridge 3. Let's listen just out of the chorus to make sure it will work. We now have green bridge sections in our song track. And we can hear the build between the 2 different bridge beats I selected. It does work. At this point, we typically continue our pre-established song structure. And since our song structure is still copied in our memory or clipboard, let's paste it again right after our new bridge section. It's a typical trick to double the chorus at the end of a song. So I'll hold Control, Command on Mac, and click and drag the chorus MIDI block to duplicate it. And now let's find an outro or ending to our song. This last ending, just being one hit on beat 1, will work for most things. I'll select this other ending 6 to show diversity though. Let's hear our chorus go into the ending to check our work. Notice that before I move on building the song, I always check to make sure one MIDI block transitions to the next well. I wouldn't put my trust in the song creator so much that I wouldn't check its work creatively. But so far, it's done a pretty solid job. Okay. Now we have a full and legit song with solid song structure. We could be done here if we wanted. Let's take a look at our double chorus at the end. Let me get a second of the chorus in my head so I have it in my mind when auditioning the fills. Fill 10 works. The hi-hat provides contrast to the chorus beat, but it's still heavy-handed, so it works at least for me. But keep in mind, which I'll cover in other videos, we could easily change the dynamics of any of these fills and even what instrument is played on the drum kit by editing these MIDI files. Now, notice when I drag this fill over the end of the first chorus block, it will land on top of it and overwrite the last measure. It's not shuffling the blocks around or anything like that. This is what we want. Now we see our little 1 measure long orange fill MIDI block. And let's check it out before we sign off on it. Cool. We've used the song creator to build an entire song and pretty quickly. Let's hear the verse again real quick. I don't like this verse anymore. The closed hi-hats don't have enough energy for me. So let's find one that better suits my new inspiration. Verse 2 has more open hats. I want this one instead. So let's right-click on this verse 2 MIDI file and notice a menu we've covered in previous videos except the last few options. And here's the money feature. Replace all verses on track. This is another reason categorizing MIDI files into the groove folders is valuable, because this feature can identify all of your verses and replace them instantly. Let's select Replace all verses on track and play the verses in the song. Cool. What a great feature. But I'm still not happy. I want the open hi-hats in the verse, but not right away. Let's find a closed hi-hat beat again. Our source file works fine. Now let's only select the first 8 bars of each verse. I select the first one, and then hold Control on PC or Command on Mac, and select only the verse MIDI blocks I want to change. I go to the closed hi-hat beat, right-click and select Replace Selected Blocks on Track, and boom, only what I selected in the song track has been replaced. Not every verse, but only the selected MIDI blocks. This is really powerful because let's say I liked a pre-chorus so much I wanted to use it as a verse. I could select my verses manually, right-click on a pre-chorus and select Replace Selected Blocks on Track, and that pre-chorus would now be the new verse. I could take it a step further and right-click on these new pre-choruses that are now verse and change the part to verse if I wanted to keep my color coding consistent. Don't forget, the undo button is up here if you change your mind. Now, back to our change. This is the closed hi-hat section going into our open hi-hat section. The song builds even better now. I might want to put a 4 count or 2, which is my preference, at the top of the song to finish it, which I can find in the intro count-ins folder. So we've learned how to send files to the song creator. We've built an entire song and continued to produce and edit it using the song creator. What if this song structure, not the beats that are in the song, but just the song structure, the organization of the colored MIDI blocks, is something we use often? In a pop world, these typical structures are used often. Let's take a look at the menu here next to the song creator heading. There's one option, Save as Song Structure, and let's do that. I'll rename it so I can find it later. And in this Song Structures panel, a new User Song Structure section has been created that will hold my user song structures. And at a glance, if you select and look under the name Shootie's Song Structure, you'll see the song laid out with colored blocks so you have an idea of what the structure is before you use it. That's what we just saved, not our beats, but the formations of our colored MIDI blocks, which are song sections referred to as parts in EZDrummer 2. Let me select everything in our song track and delete it. And you should note, if you haven't saved your EZDrummer file before doing this, your song will be lost, just not the song structure. Now, let me unload the MIDI drop zone by selecting the X. Our new user song structure can't do anything as is. If you right-click on it, you can rename or delete it, in which will be deleted forever, so be careful. But notice the option, Load Song Structure onto Track cannot be selected, and that's because song structures contain no MIDI. They only contain song parts, and that's how they're structured. It's up to you to assign the MIDI to it. Now, let's almost instantly create a brand new song with our user song structure. Let's stay in the mid-tempo category and find the Latin touch song so we have obvious contrast from our last song, and drag the verse variation 1 to the MIDI drop zone. As before, our song creator panels populate with options. Now, let's go to the user song structure. Right-click our song structure we saved, and finally, the option to add it to track is there. Let's click on Load Structure onto Track. Now, besides the first two tiny MIDI blocks where my 4 counts were, we just created an entire song instantly. If we look at each column and its corresponding colors, a beat from each column was assigned to the corresponding colored MIDI blocks in the song track. And as we play the song and hear sections we don't like, we can audition and replace sections of the song with the song creator panels as we've done before. This chorus is a little too low dynamic to be a chorus in my opinion, so I'll right-click on Chorus 2 and click Replace All Choruses on Track, and so on with the rest of the song. But since the 4 count MIDI blocks I placed in the last song are considered intro sections by our user song structure, we hear them as intro beats, not the count-in files we want to hear to start our song. I might manually change those back to 4 counts like this. Now there's no need to save your song structure again, it's already saved here, because song structures are only song parts, not MIDI files. But you may want to save or export your new song in the song track if you want to keep the song with the beats, the composition, not just the structure. Those of you who have completely grasped how song structure works with the song creator should note that if you right-click on a MIDI block, go to Song Part, you can redefine what song part is assigned to what MIDI block. There is no outro column in the song creator, but there is a song part called outro for your organization. You can see the color in the part name change. Lastly, in the song creator, we'll quickly look at the EZDrummer 2's included song structures. We already understand how they work at this point. Let's clear out our song track and the MIDI drop zone file. If we select the 12-bar basic, we'll see its generic color-coded song structure just below its title. There's a small gray intro, blue verses, purple choruses, and a tiny red outro. When it comes to the names of the other song structures, the letter A represents a verse. So this one just means vamping on a verse, and notice the color guide only being blue except the very end, which is a small red ending block. Looking at the next structure, the letter B represents a chorus, and we can see in the color block that this structure goes back and forth between blue verses and purple choruses. Scrolling down further, you'll see the letter C incorporated in the titles of the song structures. This represents the green bridge sections, even though you'll see some yellow pre-chorus sections as well. And as you know, all you have to do is load the MIDI file you want into the MIDI drop zone, and then right-click and hit Load Song Structure onto Track, and you will instantly have a song to start working with. And though it would be pretty lengthy to audition an entire song from this panel, the play button will work to let you hear song structures as long as you have a beat loaded into the drop zone. The only note I really have at this point is when mixing and matching different song sections, regardless of which expansion or MIDI packs you're using, you may hear some unacceptable dynamic changes from part to part, or you may even want to tweak how much a certain instrument on a kit is played or change the instruments played, as I've covered in detail in other advanced EZDrummer 2 videos, so check those out. And finally, a quick note before I go for advanced users. There's a few bugs in the Song Creator when you only have the core EZDrummer 2 program installed. They're not even worth mentioning. You'll find them if you look hard enough, and working around them is easy if you understand how the Song Creator works. But when you have other Toontrack expansion packs and MIDI packs installed, you may run into issues when matching beats outside of the MIDI library you're using. There's no show-stopping issues, but it will start pulling incorrect part sections into your results. You may hear intros in your verse columns, for example. Again, nothing that is detrimental, but some manual and easy workarounds are required. And lastly, when editing in the song track, which is covered in detail on one of my other videos, if you merge a fill to the end of a verse, for example, and then you drop your newly edited verse file into the MIDI drop zone, it is now considered a fill, as you can see the source file is now in the fill column. I submitted this to Toontrack, maybe they'll fix it. But the point being is the Song Creator is not perfect when reading the metadata from the MIDI files, it seems. And if you keep an eye on these inconsistencies, it's just a step or two to work around the issues, if they even pose a problem in the first place. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. Thanks for letting me try and teach you about the Song Creator today. If you're still feeling motivated, then continue on to watch one of my next Advanced with EZDrummer videos. If you're feeling burnt out, take a break, or even play with EZDrummer 2 on your own and come back to my channel when you're feeling refreshed. If you learned something from this Song Creator video, please like and subscribe. Comments and corrections are always welcome below. Thank you for tuning in, and rock on.